all the players I suggested the Niners take, and they end up being good. Does that mean that they will be Super Bowl contenders this upcoming season?
I think that's the key question, Iggy. And I'm going to phrase it a different way.
Sure.
If they get really good players in the draft, come in, and it makes them more whole than they are now, does that mean their window of opportunity is still open or has it shut? My gut feeling is that window of opportunity no longer exists. That's what I feel. It may exist in 2026. It may reopen. But my feeling about the upcoming season is the draft cannot make them whole, even if some of these players, and again, they're not all going to be good, and they're not always going to get the player they want. But after the draft, I don't think they're going to be an elite team.
No, I don't either. I mean, they could give Kittle an extension and Purdy an extension and draft a great D lineman and O lineman. I still don't think they're going to be that good of a team. And I still think that everything depends on Christian McCaffrey. Like if they knock this draft out of the park and Christian McCaffrey plays 4 games next season, they're going to win 8 or 9 games tops if everyone else stays healthy. But if he stays healthy, they could be a 10, 11, 12 win team that wins a playoff game. It really comes down to him. And I think that's a weird position to be in, because does anyone really expect him to stay healthy at this point? Like, running back is such a huge need for the 49ers. It's going to be interesting to see how early they take one.
Iggy, I agree with what you're saying about offense, but I don't want to forget about defense. Even if McCaffrey is good, they're not necessarily whole on defense right now. Linebacker and pass rusher.
It's true. They have a long ways to go on defense. But
yeah,
I feel like a good coordinator can make I mean, we saw it with Vic Fangio this last year. That Eagles defense was very young. And you have good, talented players, high draft picks, great coordinator. It could work. You can have a really good defense come together with a bunch of young players. Niners could pull that off. But on offense, you have to learn Kyle's system. You really do better your second year around. It's tougher on offense to put together a young unit. Kyle doesn't even try to do it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And I'm not comparing Saleh to Fangio. Fangio just won a Super Bowl, but Saleh is elite. He's elite. And I think he's the kind of coach who can get a lot, coordinator who can get a lot out of his coaches and his players. So, yeah. Okay, I feel somewhat more optimistic about the Niners defense. And the reason I'm a little not as optimistic on the offense is, who's McCaffrey going to be? Who's he going to be?
It seems to me that when the Niners have a really good running back and he's rolling, they're hard to beat. But when they don't and they have to pass more than they'd like, they end up being the kind of team that beats itself. There's an interception, there's a sack, there's a mistake. When they can run the ball at will, they're so hard to beat, because then the play action comes off of that. And Purdy's only really throwing 20, 25, 26 passes a game, and he's great.
Right. And in games like that, Purdy looks like, wow, what a quarterback. What a quarterback. Because a lot of the pressure is taken off him. Yeah.
Yeah, even Jimmy looked great when Raheem Mostert was run for like 6 yards a carry. So if the Niners happen to draft a running back to back up McCaffrey, and McCaffrey goes down and this guy goes in the starting lineup and ends up being great, then the Niners can make a run. And what's funny about running backs is that's a position that requires usually zero development. You're either good or you're not. So if they draft one, and the thing about running backs, you could get one in round 6 and he'd be good. You could get one as an undrafted free agent and he'd be good. They're kind of a dime a dozen. Now, ones who can catch passes aren't a dime a dozen, but Jordan Mason was undrafted. So if the Niners catch lightning in a bottle at that position, they could go on a run.
I want to come back to the initial question. Is their window of opportunity closed? Because you've just, in a very interesting way, given scenarios in which they might be a pretty good team. So should we say we think the window of opportunity has closed, but we still say that there's maybe a chance to open it. And maybe I was too hasty a few minutes ago. Let's say instead of being 100% closed, it's 75% closed. Does that feel more comfortable to you?
PrizePicks is sponsoring the Cohn Zone this year. PrizePicks is the leader in daily fantasy and the best place to win cash while watching sports. And the best part about the app is it's really easy to use. To create a lineup, all you have to do is pick more or less on a few players' stats. I'm a Niners guy. So, when I'm doing PrizePicks, I'm looking, the last couple of years, I'm looking at Deebo Samuel because I know Deebo Samuel better than Deebo Samuel knows Deebo Samuel. So if it's like drops, I'm taking more. Or if it's like punches thrown towards his long snapper on the sideline during the fourth quarter of a game, the 49ers will go on to win. I'm smashing more because I know the 49ers and I'm a PrizePicks guy. Now, maybe they didn't have those exact plays, but they have so many plays that'll make your head spin. And you can play PrizePicks in over 40 states, including California and Texas. Best part about it is the new user offer. PrizePicks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. So win or lose, you'll get $50 just for playing. That sounds like a win to me. Use promo code Cohn, COHN, to claim your $50 today. Tell them Grant sent you. Yeah, I'd say so. Because the more I think about it, I'm not really worried about the defense. Salah's really good. They're going to draft players. He's going to have a ton of input on who they draft. I'm sure the defense isn't going to be bad next year. My question is the offense. What happens if McCaffrey has another year like last year? What's the plan? Because last year there was no plan.
Right. And Iggy, if McCaffrey actually is good again, they have an offense.
Yep.
And we suspect he won't be, but we're not doctors. We don't know.
No.
He could come out and be really good. And if he is, now that's a team, and that's a team that maybe could compete to be the best in the NFC West and beyond. So I'm saying window not closed, 75% closed.
The Niners want to believe that they're the Eagles because the Eagles had a similar arc. They lost the Super Bowl. They came back the next year. They lost like their final 6 or 7 games. It looked like the team was split and that the coach had lost the locker room. They come back the next year. They fired all their coordinators like the Niners just did. They got really young on defense. They won the Super Bowl. So the Niners are telling themselves, hey, the Eagles just did it. We can do it too. Doesn't mean they will, but that's the hope. Now the Eagles added Saquon Barkley. The Niners aren't adding Saquon Barkley. Yeah,
that's what I just said.
Yeah, but in their minds, we're getting McCaffrey back.
Right. If McCaffrey is McCaffrey, he's as good as Saquon Barkley. Yeah. He's a different kind of runner, but he's their Saquon Barkley. But that's the big thing that the Eagles did, and we don't know if the Niners are about to do that.
And that's the thing too. Like, you could take Cam Scatterbo in round 3. He could be really good. He's not going to be Saquon Barkley. He's not going to be Christian McCaffrey. Those guys were top 10 picks. Everyone knew coming out of college they were great. So if you wanted to get that kind of player, going back to an earlier topic, trading up in the draft, there is a running back in this draft who's considered a blue chip player. His name is Ashton Genty. He played at, where did he play? Boise State. And people compare him to like LaDainian Tomlinson. So What about trading up for that guy? That would be kind of interesting.
Okay.
He's currently projected to get drafted by the Raiders with the sixth pick. Everyone thinks he's going to the Raiders.
Whoever goes to the Raiders, my heart goes out to him. Oh, Jesus. If the Niners were to take him at 6, trade up and take him at 6, that would tell me they're not convinced about McCaffrey.
How could you be convinced about McCaffrey? Isn't convinced about McCaffrey.
How do we know that?
Let's recap McCaffrey's year last year. McCaffrey gets extended. McCaffrey doesn't do training camp, but everyone thinks he's going to play week 1. Then he's a game time decision not to play week 1. Then he's out for the whole first half of the season. Toward the end of that period, right before the bye week, he ends up in Germany to get a little extra treatment that you can't get in the United States. I always wondered about that. To me, he was super duper cautious coming back. I wonder if I doubt the Niners sent him to Germany. I'm sure players of his status have their own training teams, and they probably said, be careful, do XYZ. You don't want this to tear. He was as careful as could be, came back, wasn't good, got hurt again. It's not like Dre Greenlaw, who literally rushed back and got hurt. This guy did not rush back. He took as much time as possible, got hurt again. So I don't see how optimistic you can really be at this point.
Well, we've said on previous broadcasts, I think he's going to. I don't want him to get hurt again. You never root for that. I would like him to be good and for the Niners to have a good season. It helps journalists, but I am not optimistic about him. There are too many things that went wrong and could go wrong. And Iggy, that trip to Germany is so significant. I'm going to say, it feels like desperation.
Mm-hmm. It does feel like desperation. And I think he seemed like he was really scared that he would permanently injure himself. And he didn't. But he came back and he was not the same.
No,
and then got hurt.
Iggy, I want to ask you, in the final game when he went down with no contact, until he went down, was he having a better game than he had before? As I recall, he was.
He was, but it was a snow game and every running back did well. All the offensive linemen did well. It was hard for defensive players to react in the snow. They were falling.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So it's hard to say that he turned the corner. Maybe he did, or maybe not. Hard to say.
Well, the idea that he went down with no contact is concerning. How about if we use that?
Now, some people will say that the field was frozen and his knee banged into it, and that's why he got hurt. Or
a lot of people fell down. I mean, it was frozen for everybody, not just for him.
That's a good point.